Thanks for clicking through to Chamber Web TV. These are one-on-one interviews with business and political leaders from our community. And today, it's my pleasure to be joined with our member of the provincial legislature, Gerry Martiniuk. Gerry, how are you?
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm just wonderful, and it's a wonderful time of year. And I know you love this time of year, too, because it gives you an opportunity to get out, see people at wonderful events, and everybody's really happy, and they're not screaming or complaining about anything. And I know even this morning you mentioned to me when you came in that you're out trying to help the food basket program in our community. So that's a wonderful thing to do, Gerry.
Yes, not just the food basket. I mean, the food bank does a great deal of work.
Yep.
The fire department does the food basket. And of course, the Salvation Army is working hard. So they're all working hard to help those less fortunate. And I think they're wonderful organizations.
Yeah, we have to be mindful of that, even though we go through our daily routine. And you sit down in the legislature and you're talking about, big issues of the day. It's really those individuals that are struggling, especially at this time of year, that need our help. But Gerry, you were first elected in 1995 to the provincial legislature. Of course, you've been around politics for a long time in the community, former alderman in the town of Preston. You were on the public school board as a trustee in the county. You were re-elected again in 99. You were re-elected again in 2003. And then for your fourth term in 2007. And then, oddly enough, on October the 14th, this past October 2010, you announced that the Gerry Martiniuk reign is going to come to an end in October 2011 when the next campaign comes along. So that'll give you over 16 years in the Ontario legislature, Mr. Martiniuk, which I'm very proud of, and I'm sure you are as well. And I know there's a lot that goes into a decision like that. But, give me maybe some of the key elements that led you to decide it's time to hang up.
Well, I really believe that we will be the next government. Our party, Tim Hudak's doing a great job. He will be the next Premier of Ontario. And that is going to require an enormous amount of work on behalf of everyone. And I would be willing to do that. However, there are many young people with more energy than I have, quite frankly, that would like that opportunity. We've got 5 or 6 right now considering running for the nomination of the Progressive Conservative Party in Cambridge. And I have a number of things that I would like to do. I have no desire to sit in the House until I'm 90 years old or something like that. It doesn't make sense to me. I will be, when I retire, I'll be 75 years old. And that's enough. Let the younger ones take over the job. And I have a number of places I want to go. I have a number of things I'd like to do. And I can't do them while still serving the good people of Cambridge who have supported me through 4 elections. The first 2 were easy because I was riding the coattails.
Yes.
The next 2, we got down to 14 members. Just the winners. Mm-hmm. And we lost so many good friends. Mm-hmm. And I figure it's about time.
Yeah. Let's look back over the last 16 years or so, Gerry. You've been an incredible outspoken supporter in the legislature as well as in the community of our Cambridge Memorial Hospital. And I know that's always been close to your heart. However, we've had Minister Clement, we've had Minister Whitmer, we've had Minister Smitherman, we've had Minister Kaplan. I think maybe even Minister Malloy got into the sod turning at some point. How many times are we going to break sod before you think we're going to get the addition to the hospital that's so badly needed?
Well, we've got Minister Matthews, too, who's presently there. So we've gone through 5 ministers. And quite frankly, 3 of my 4 children were born at Cambridge Memorial, and my wife was treated there with her illness, and it's something that's been close to my heart, and I've worked very hard. We've unfortunately hit a couple of rocky roads in that we've had 2 supervisors, which unfortunately is a record, I think, for Ontario in the last 15 years, and that has delayed much needed extension of our hospital. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really is much needed.
Yeah.
And the budget is the capital budget is presently being considered, and I feel very comfortable that we will be included in that capital budget which is always the first step.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the end of the road is in sight.
Mm-hmm. I think too, and it might even speak to the maybe the atmosphere now. The atmosphere around the hospital seems to be much improved as well, and I think having the new president, CEO Patrick Gaskin in place has really made a difference. And I don't know whether, I'm sure it's him. I think it's his demeanor, but I think things seem to be positioned right for it to come along now too.
Yes, Mr. Gaskin's done a super job up to now. As I was walking through the hospital the other day, I passed his office and the door was open and he was sitting at his desk, and I dropped in and said hi. I think that's the first time in 16 years I've been able to see the CEO of our hospital without going through secretaries and locked doors.
No,
So I think we're in really good hands.
Yeah, he's that kind of a guy, and that's very good for our hospital. Gerry Martiniuk, you've been an outspoken member, to say the least, in the legislature. I think you're the only Cambridge member of provincial legislature that's ever been thrown out of the legislature, which I think at the time was absolutely appropriate, and I applaud you for that. I think there are times when we need to stand up and be spoken at and kicked out of the way, because that's how we get our point across. But you know, you've been harping the government on the HST, you've been harping it on the hospital, of course, we just talked about that. You even called one economic statement that the government came out with a total disgrace. You demanded the Premier get rid of Minister Kaplan. You wanted his resignation. You've demanded a jobs plan out of the government. You were outspoken on victims' rights issues, seniors' issues, children's issues, crime, drug, grow-ops in houses, health care, of course, and taxes on the health care, as well as provincial taxes as well. You've been a bit of a pain in the neck, I think, down there, which we like because we know we've got a strong voice down there. They're probably going to be happy you're going, but I know you've got a ton of friends there too.
Yes, I do have a lot of friends among all of the parties. However, as the leadership of the Liberals, I know, because there's been indications to me, that they are so pleased that I am stepping down. Because when Cambridge is treated badly, or the problems are not being met in our province, and one of the big problems is the lack of jobs. There are people that have been laid off and lost their jobs, and unfortunately, this government has no plan, and the people are lost, especially if they're 50 or more in age. The chances of them getting a worthwhile job are very remote under this government, and I think that's a disgrace, and we've got to do better.
Yeah. You knew you were going to get thrown out of the legislature when you, didn't you?
When somebody treats our hospital like that, I'll do it. In 16 years, I've only been thrown out once, but that was a matter of my conscience,
Yeah.
and the conscience of the people of Cambridge.
But you knew it was going to happen. You knew that was going to be the result, didn't you?
Probably.
Yeah. But that didn't stop you, in spite of the fact that, I think some people would look at that and say, did that bother him? Well, you knew that was the only way to get your point across.
Well, Mike Brown was very reluctant to throw me. He was the speaker at the time, and he's a good friend, and he was reluctant. That's why he kept giving me another chance. He said, "Are you sure you're not going to withdraw?" He couldn't understand what was going on. Quite
well,
frankly.
good for you, because I think that's the type of leadership a community looks for. Someone who will stand up for what's right. Someone who will stand up for the best interests of their community. And Gerry, I think, I know from a personal perspective, from my personal perspective, I was certainly proud of the fact that you were our member of provincial legislature and took that heat. Because I know, some people certainly who are on the other side of the fence would say, see who we got in there, see who's in there. But, I think that was certainly demonstrating the strength of your leadership in that position over the years. So
Thank you, Greg.
I congratulate you on that. I think that was a good job. And I always like to see a guy get kicked out now and again. Gerry, speaking of that, you talked about it earlier, how you were elected in 99 and you were in government, and 95, of course. So you had 2 terms as being part of the government that was elected, and 2 terms as not being part of the government. What are the differences, and what are the I guess what's it take to be a member, either as a sitting government member or as an opposition member? What's it take from a daily perspective?
Well, it takes much more discipline as a government because you have to speak with one voice. If you have one dissenting voice, no matter how large your caucus, everybody will jump on that and say the place is falling apart. So it's much more difficult, quite frankly, being in government than being in opposition. Because in opposition, you basically your job is to criticize the government, and we've done a good job of that. But I find that a lot easier and, quite frankly, not as constructive. That's the role you have to play, but it's not as constructive as actually being in government and doing things to solve problems. That's why I enjoy my constituency work so much, because it's a problem-solving job.
Yeah.
People come in and they don't know what to do and where to go, and I've got a great staff, and so we assist them, and I think that has become the better part of my job, quite frankly. And the word is not enjoy. The word is gratifying. I mean, forget about the pay. I love my job. I have enjoyed, and quite frankly, the people of Cambridge have reciprocated. I mean, returning me 4 times in a row is unusual in this riding.
Yes,
it just
sure
doesn't
is.
happen.
Sure
And
is.
I feel quite gratified and humble in the faith they've shown in me. So it all works. Some people think you have to be a pretty face, or you have to be a glad-hander to be a true elected representative. You don't have to be. You need one thing. You've got to be stubborn as all get out. You've got to persevere no matter how bleak it looks and people telling you it can't be done. You just push ahead and try to do it. And that's all you need to be a successful person in politics, I think.
Yeah, it's about that. It's about digging in the trenches and trying to get things done for the good of the people, and I think you've done a great job of that. So what's next for Gerry Martiniuk? You're going to campaign with the new nominee?
Oh, certainly. I'm looking forward. We looks like we might have 5 or 6, as many as 5 or 6 candidates for the nomination, and I'm certainly going to assist them. I think it would be wonderful for the first time to have 2 candidates from the same party succeed. That's never happened in this riding that I know of, and I've got the books going all the way back. Plus, I'm the longest-serving MPP ever in this riding. So we're going to make a new record and elect another PC candidate to the job of MPP of Cambridge, and I look forward to that.
You're probably looking more forward to this election than you have the previous 4.
No, an election's.
That's a good barometer, isn't it?
And it's refreshing. It's like having a shower in the morning and you start off clean, because you get humble in elections. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. You bite your nails and you start to look at things in a fresher way. Democracy is wonderful the way it works. It really is.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Gerry, you have certainly made us proud of the Chamber. You mentioned that you were president of the Chamber for a term. You've certainly made a difference in the business climate in this community through that involvement with the Chamber of Commerce. As a community, I think we can all say that you certainly have served with honor, with dignity. And Gerry Martiniuk, I think you've made a huge difference in the lives of the Cambridge citizens. And so on behalf of the 125,000 or so, I want to thank you for the time that you've put in working for us each and every day, and certainly want to wish you all the best in your retirement.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, Gerry.
Okay, great.